Welcome back, fight fans. I go by the name of Barak.
And I'm Barak, the boxing bully.
And indeed, we had boxing this weekend, and we're talking Conor Benn. He was back in the ring, very confident, great performance. We'll talk about it right now on the opening bell. Barak, first things first, congrats to Conor Benn on a solid victory. There were questions about DAZN. He was undefeated. Does he have the goods? Is he the real deal? Is this a good opponent? Obviously, he proved that he belonged in the ring, but not good enough to pose a real threat to Conor Benn. People expect certain things from fighters. When they give the fans something, they give them a taste of something, and then it's expected all the time. And I'm talking about hurting people, knockouts, Barak. And Conor Benn has been delivering that, right? Not in his last performance, but just overall, guys know when he goes in there to hurt you. But that's not gonna happen with everybody, especially when opponents are skilled, they know how to get away from the hard shots, and they feel the power, and they don't engage to the point where they're gonna risk getting knocked out. And I think that's what we saw for the most part on Saturday night. What was your assessment?
I agree with a lot that you just said. But the reason why I didn't agree with your parlay prediction, with Conor was gonna knock him out, is because we don't know if everybody can get knocked out by just anybody. Now, there's certain fighters. You had to throw that in there, huh? You had to throw that parlay miss in there. Okay. 100%. We're gonna do this all year, buddy. We're gonna do this all year, buddy. All right, so now you're 1 for 3. But anyway, seriously, we don't know if a fighter can get knocked out if he hasn't been knocked out before, and it depends on the quality of the puncher. Now, when you got guys like Gervonta Davis, you figure he can basically hurt anybody. Deontay Wilder, he could basically hurt anybody, but even them are not knocking everybody out, so we don't know if it could be a knockout. Now, Conor's a guy who comes in there for the knockout, but one thing DAZN showed me is he knows how to defend himself against the right hand. That's what he showed me. And towards the end of the round, he was getting caught with it, and he showed he got a beard. He got a strong beard. Yeah. But he knows how to defend, but he just wasn't making Conor Benn pay enough. And in the first 4 rounds, he was barely letting his hands go. I was like, oh, Pistol Pete, you didn't come with a loaded clip because you're shooting blanks. You're not really letting your hands go. And his corner told him, he's like, pick it up. Conor's tired. Whether Conor was tired or not, he picked it up in the 5th round, and he showed he can box. He even probably won the 5th round. 6th round, he looked decent as well. But Conor turned it back up. He used his speed, and he used his power, and put him back on the back foot again.
Yeah, Barak, one thing that I was impressed with a couple of things, but one thing that stood out to me about Conor Benn is that he, like you always quote the Jerry Cooney quote, he doesn't read his own press, right? Yeah, so yeah. I believe though people expect power and knockouts from him, he's still developing as a fighter, meaning he cares about the craft. He cares about learning how to box, and obviously his condition is there, because I don't agree with his with the other guy's coach. He wasn't tired. There might have been moments where he was taking rest here and there, but he showed at the end that he still had condition enough to throw hard shots. He was landing the right hand. Now, he fought a guy that had a good beard, to your point, but Conor's still, I like the way he's moving his head. I like the way he's using his jab. He is not a guy that's going to rely on power. He wants to win rounds, and he did that against DAZN, and he's getting better every single fight in terms of his boxing ability, in my opinion.
Basically, he outboxed Peter Dobson, the guy from New York, from the Bronx, from where you live, and you always talk about you go for the New York guys. Well, anyway, he outboxed him. He beat him in every single category. If it was jabs, power punches, body shots, everything. Literally beat him in every single category. So he outboxed the kid. And I don't know if you caught it, but it was between one of the rounds, he was in the corner, and Conor Benn said to his coach, he was like, he's moving this way, he's moving this way. And his coach said, well, then you go to this side. He was like, oh, go to his right. Okay. He's alert. Learning on the job, humble enough to learn on the job and to be vocal, but it just so happens that he's confident. He's confident no matter who he goes in there against, but he does know that he's a humble guy who's learning on the job, and that's to your credit when you were saying that he's definitely showing that he's able to learn on a job and humble enough not to think that he knows everything. He listened to his corner, went back out there. I believe it was the 7th round. He took that fight back over, and that's the thing. You gotta know how to listen to your corner, and you cannot knock everybody out. If you see that you can't knock a guy out, you gotta box. So what he did, he out-jabbed him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that says a lot about his maturity as a fighter. He's not overzealous in there trying to get a guy out of there every single round. He realized at some point, all right, this guy can take a shot. I'm going to have to go 12 with this guy. Let's handle our business. And you mentioned confidence, Barak. Look, his confidence is impressive to me. I like it because he's expressive, and oftentimes boxing fans get frustrated with fighters that don't speak. They don't call guys out. They don't say what they want to do. Like even in the press conference, he was respectful to Bill Haney and talked about the possible fight against Devin
Respect
Haney.
the Bill for even coming there and congratulating him
and
as
look,
well, Bill Haney.
Conor's a guy that has called out Jerron Boots Ennis. He wants to fight anybody, so we know that that's there. I like to see Conor in a big fight next. I think he's ready for any of the guys because, look, Barak, at this level, if you're not ready, then when are you going to be ready? He's a world-class fighter. He's proven it. He proved it on Saturday night because I think Dobson is a lot better than people think or people assumed or people even knew, right? And it was an impressive victory. I'm looking forward to what's next for Conor Benn. In your opinion, how should it be laid out?
I like what he's been saying. I like also what Eddie Hearn said. Yes, Conor's probably the only person that's mentioning fight with Boots Ennis, but he already told us who he wants next. He wants Mario Barrios next, and I love what Eddie Hearn said. Eddie Hearn said, it seems like Mario is trying to fight Ennis, so what we got to do is we got to pay him more than he would get when he's fighting Ennis, for him to fight Ennis. And that is great for me to hear. So would that qualify to you as a big fight? To me, it qualifies as a big fight. I know I like him as a fighter. I think he'll give, if this doesn't prove if Conor has it or not, a win over Barrios would definitely prove that. I believe so.
I agree with you, and I like that fight. I also like him still wanting to fight Chris Eubank Jr. I think that should happen at some point.
Sort of. Eddie don't want to hear that ever again, though. But,
yeah, but
sort of.
People still, obviously the UK still wants it, and Conor obviously still wants it. There's something personal there. But I like what Conor's doing here in America. His personality, his confidence is what boxing fans love about fighters. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him.
But you know what stuck out to me the most, though?
What's that?
What stuck out to me the most when I was watching the post-fight press conference, it's when one of the reporters asked him about Haney, because Haney, everybody always makes reference. When they see a fighter fight, they make reference on X, on Twitter. And Devontae Davis said something, and Devin Haney said something. But when it came to Devin Haney, Conor Benn was very vocal, like, oh, this guy's never had power. What is he talking about? Whatever. And here you seen was Eddie Hearn, emotionless, would not even blink, because he's like, I love and support and promote both of you guys. I'm not getting into this right here. We also, and just before we get out of here, Barak, I do want to touch on what you just mentioned. I did see the Gervonta Tank Davis tweet, I'm guessing, and he said something about, I need his 3 weeks and something else. He said something funny, and a night out or something like that, and I'll be ready for you. And Conor responded with call him a munchkin and some other references, but how do you like that fight? Because you're talking about two aggressive I don't.
guys, right?
No, I don't. Of course I like the fight. I'm a boxing fan, but come on now. I don't like that. I don't like that Gervonta Davis would fight somebody like him when you're the most famous guy in your division, which is 135, maybe 140, around there. Fight the top guys. Fight for the belts there. Fight for the belts there. I don't want that, because it's like people criticize Floyd for, later on in his career picking this guy, picking that guy. But there's nobody that you can mention that you think Floyd ducked that you think can really beat Floyd. I don't care if it was Paul Williams. Paul Williams got beat by Lara, but Lara was robbed. So nobody could have beat Floyd anyway. Gervonta Davis, he should prove that he's the best.
In other words,
selling the most tickets is not the best.
In other words,
I think Gervonta is amazing.
So stop hopping around.
I think Gervonta is amazing. Right. I just think he needs to fight the champions pick a division. Or pick 2 divisions, pick whatever division, and fight the champions in that division.
And just so you guys know, for the people watching, Barak and I have been Gervonta Davis supporters from the beginning, right? We've had him on our pound-for-pound list. We've argued other analysts down about Gervonta Davis because he's that talented. But as they say in our culture, it's up. It's up, right? Like, no more. Like, the fights need to happen. Barak, I really don't want to hear about y'all broke. I'm running the show.
I mean,
things
what
on my
he says, some of the things he says is true.
No,
I mean,
whether it's true
he
or
is
not.
the biggest. He is the biggest draw, no matter what.
Nobody's questioning that. What I'm saying now, those are great points to argue. But at what point do we say, all right, it's time to fight, right? To make these fights, because there's money out there for the fights to be made. Gervonta, obviously, he's proven that with another star, he does numbers with Ryan Garcia, right? I know that's a special type of fight, but there are other fights out there that are going to generate money. There's Saudi Arabia that wants to see him out there. And His Excellency responded to Tank by saying, hey, I'll send you not 2 Ferraris, but 2 gloves to fight. I kind of like that response from His Excellency because, that's essentially, that's what we want to see. Big fights. We know that there's money there, right? The fight, there's money. Guys are going to get paid, especially guys like Gervonta, who's one of the biggest draws in boxing right next to Canelo Alvarez. So the money is there. Do you
that's not the thing.
Do you want the fights? Do you want to fight Shakur Stevenson? Do you want to fight Devin Haney, right? Do you want to fight Teofimo Lopez? Do you want those fights that we have been wanting for a very long time? That's the question. I think that Gervonta can compete with all of those guys. I think Gervonta is one of the most talented fighters in the sport. But I don't know what he desires. What does his heart desire at this point? That's all I want to know. All right.
I think the problem lies where, the splits. I think Gervonta being the biggest draw, obviously he wants the biggest split. But the thing is that...
Would that determine the fight? Would you say, if you're Gervonta and his team, are you going to say, all right, you know what? I don't want 60%. I want 80%. Or if not, I don't want this fight, right? Is that his approach? That's what I'm knowing.
No, I don't know.
Is he okay with saying, if I don't get the splits for all of these fighters, guess what? I'm not going to fight them, and that's how I'm going to approach the rest of my career, fighting these specific fights. But is that what's going to happen here?
Obviously, that's not fan-friendly, but at the end of the day, I want a fighter to maximize his money no matter what. So I do understand when a fighter wants more money and feels like he deserves more money if he's the bigger draw and it's proven that he's the bigger draw.
I'm not questioning that.
But wait a second. You keep cutting me off. You're not letting me say nothing. But let me finish. Then if you ain't questioning, be quiet. Let me finish.
All right.
The thing is, with what Turkey, His Excellency Turkey does and Saudi Arabia does, they eliminate all of that. We should get to the point where Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, all of these top guys, Teofimo Lopez, and especially Tank, should say, this is what I want to fight. So if you want $20 million and that's what's available because His Excellency is able to pay you or willing to pay you $20 million to fight Devin Haney, then we shouldn't ask what Devin Haney is getting. We shouldn't ask what anybody else is getting. I want $20 million and this percentage of the pay-per-view. I think now, because Saudi Arabia being involved, that the money is there now, no matter what. And we shouldn't really be thinking about splits when it comes to money because the money is there. Now, pay-per-view is a different story.
That's it. That's it right there. That's it. Ask for what you want, what you feel like you deserve, and let the chips fall where they may. Forget about who's watching or what this guy is getting. This is what you want. The money is there for it to happen. Point blank period. So now there's no more excuses. There are no excuses in terms of what you feel like you're worth. Because there's a place called Saudi Arabia, and His Excellency is ready to make all of those big fights happen, right? So it's up. There's no more excuses. The prime names in the sport, the biggest names in the sport, this place is ready to accept you, ready to create the biggest fights in the sport, and financially, there's not going to be any issues. I believe, Barak, and I expect that this year, 2024, the biggest fights in the sport should happen, and I think most will happen, but will they all happen?
I mean,
That's
we had
the
a great
question.
2023. We need to. We don't need to go backwards. We need these fights to happen this year.
All right, there you have it. That's our show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and love. Stay safe. We're out of here.